Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, I'm basically going to be answering some questions that relate to the various steps which are involved in you getting your DevOps or your cloud computing job. So this video is for you to know the various steps which you should expect before landing your dream DevOps or your cloud computing job. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for watching our content. Hit the notification bell for the next video which is going to be coming up, because every video is going to help you one way or the other. What are some of the steps which you should expect during your DevOps interview? Or what are some of the steps you should expect before landing your DevOps job? I guess by now you've already uploaded your resume or your portfolio in any given job search board. So we have several job search boards: LinkedIn, Crossover, Dice, Indeed, and a lot more. So you probably have put in your profile in some of those job search boards, and we have recruiters trying to reach out to you. So the very first step is the recruiter reaching out to you on some of these job search boards, right? So you might get a recruiter saying, "Hello, I got to know about your contact, or I got to see your profile and I'm interested in your profile. That is why I'm reaching out to you." Often they'll ask you, what is the most convenient way to reach back to you, right? So assuming that the person has reached out to you on LinkedIn and they are like, "I'm interested in your profile and I wish for us to have a conversation around a job opportunity which I have," the next thing which you want to find out from you is what number is best, or what means can they best reach out to you. And most recruiters want to reach out to you through phone call. We already did a video on the various questions you should expect during a phone call with a recruiter, so you want to watch that video with a link in the channel to also guide you on the questions you should expect from your recruiter. So the very first step, like I mentioned, is for you to receive an interest, basically an interest from a recruiter saying, "I've viewed your profile, I'm interested in your profile, and I have a job opportunity for you." Now, after you've received that job posting from a recruiter, by now you already have set up different platforms or different applications for your interviews, right? You should have installed Zoom application for interviews or Microsoft Teams. Those are the most frequently used applications: Zoom for interviews or Microsoft Teams. So probably after you've given or you set up your profile on Microsoft or Teams, that is one of the platforms which recruiters can easily reach out to you for the next steps. So the first thing is the recruiter reaching out to you on LinkedIn. The second thing which you should expect in your DevOps interview process is you having that phone call. And the phone call basically is like your first impression with the recruiter. Based on your communication or your conversation with the recruiter during the first call, it will determine if the recruiter is moving your profile to the next stage, or if you probably just end where you ended with the call, right? So you want to make sure that you have a very good call, very good impression during your first phone call with the recruiter. And if the recruiter is interested in you, they will definitely move you on to the next stages of the interview process. So make sure you hit your phone call with recruiters perfectly well. Again, there is a video with tips on how to handle first phone calls with recruiters. After you've had the first phone call with the recruiter, the next step we should be expecting is the recruiter forwarding your profile or your resume to their hiring managers. Once they send your resume to your hiring managers, that will lead you, or that will usher you to the third step. And the third step is you having your first round of technical interviews. You're having your first round of technical interviews, and the first round of technical interviews, like I always say, will have a minimum of 2 or sometimes one of their main engineers on the call. So perhaps you are applying for a site reliability engineer role, or you're applying for a DevOps role, or you're applying for a cloud engineer role. The moment you're signing up for that role, you will have one of their technical experts, maybe a DevOps engineer or a cloud engineer or a site reliability engineer or DevSecOps engineer, joining the call to perform the technical interviews with you. They are basically going to be asking you questions around different technologies which you have listed in your resume. Make sure the skill sets that are in your resume are the skill sets which you are sure and comfortable explaining your usage of the skills. That is the next thing. They reach out to you for your first round of technical interview, and most likely the first round of technical interview is always averagely an hour, and most companies use Microsoft Teams for the first round of technical interview. Depending on the company, you might move over to the second round of interview, where you will have some further technical questions, especially around the technologies which you mentioned in your first round of interview. Let's take, for example, that in your first interview, you mentioned that you've used Terraform, or you have used Kubernetes, or you've used Ansible. And Perhaps you gave some use cases of what you did with Ansible. Once you're moved to the next round of interview, the technical experts will dive deep in the second round of technical interview on the skills which you mentioned during your first interview, and equally the skills which they are actually doing the diagnosis on. They are the skills that they need for their immediate use in their company. Basically, there are the skills which they need for immediate use in their company. So you want to actually be very keen on how you handle your first round of technical interviews, because by the time you go to the second round of technical interview, they'll be following up on some of the things which you mentioned during your first round of technical interview. Depending on the company, you might have third round of technical interview or fourth round and so on, but that is it for the technical aspects, or you giving out more details about your technical expertise. Now, after you've gone through the technical rounds of interview, the next step we should be expecting is you having a conversation with the hiring manager of the company which you're speaking with. This time you're not speaking to the hiring manager of the recruiting firm, but you're talking to the hiring manager of the company. And basically, when you're going for the discussion with the hiring managers, we actually did a video on that, on some of the things we should expect when going for discussion with hiring managers, but it's more around behavioral questions. The questions which they're asking are questions that have to do with their organizational culture, and questions that have to do with the behavioral, how you can easily integrate into their company and to meet their goals, right? So when going to hiring managers, be more sensitive or get more understanding on behavioral questions that can possibly be asked during the DevOps interview. Like I mentioned, this round of interview is with the hiring manager of the company you are interviewing for. Depending on the company, at this stage you might probably move to the offer letter stage, where the company will now say, this is a perfect fit for our company, let's give this guy a contract. But if that's not the case for the company which you're applying for, you might move to the next step, which is you discussing with top executives of the company. Perhaps you are talking to the top tech lead or software lead or DevOps lead for the company, or with the general manager of the company, or with the CEO, or with the COO, whatever the case might be. But the moment you are being booked for a technical discussion or for a discussion with the administrators, it's more about you understanding their work culture, their organizational goals, and where they are driving to, and why of course they need you to fit into this vision. The next step we should be expecting, which by default is one of the most exciting stages, is you receiving an offer letter. So the moment you get an offer letter, you're expected to read the terms and conditions, and equally to specify the date which you are willing to start working in that company. The last but least thing is you should expect an onboarding session depending on the company. I'm keen on the fact that it depends on the company. During that time, there'll be a lot of back and forth synchronizing you with the existing repository or with the existing project. So the last stage in the DevOps interview process is you actually getting the job, getting the offer letter, and you start working. I hope this video has been inspiring to you. Rewatch this video and get more of the skills or the steps which you should expect during your DevOps interview. You should also watch other videos that can help you in our interview tips to get yourself your dream job.